keeps us safe. Okay, so that's our challenge today. There was another teacher that I really loved too. This is 1986 for sure. And I went to a workshop on firewalking. And it was just an informational thing. I wouldn't do one for several years. But they were talking about another teacher that was really big at the time. And they were telling his personal story. When he was a teenager, he had an uncomfortable childhood. And I believe he was 17 or 18 as the story goes. And he left home and went to California, which is what a lot of us in that generation tended to do. And he came up with this grand realization that when he arrived in this new place, he found himself, literally. Everywhere I go, there I am. Not his new self, not his higher self, not his greater evolved self, but himself. The one who was experiencing all the problems back at home was still there, experiencing the same problems in a different environment. Everywhere I go, there I am. I have never forgotten that. Everywhere I go, there I am. We cannot change the exterior unless the interior has been also stretched, massaged, opened to bring in something of greater value for us. Is anybody relating? Yes. Okay. How do we embrace the new? There's a beautiful Old Testament story which I love because this is a perfect example of consciousness. So, most of you have probably heard this story. The Israelites were in Egypt and had been in captivity slavery for 400 years. Does everybody remember the story? You all saw it because it was a movie on TV. The Ten Commandments. Yeah? Okay, so 400 years they've been in slavery. And Moses, an Egyptian elite initiate, comes to them after having been kicked out of the Egyptian elite status, comes to them and says, God has brought me forward to bring you out of slavery into freedom. They had been crying for help for so long. They said, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. We will follow this man. So they follow him into freedom. And they go to Mount Sinai where they're all free. They're all camped out. And Moses goes, you know what, guys? We're going to do this differently. Let's do something new, okay? Let's talk to God differently. So he goes up the mountaintop and he starts praying to God. We're going to do it differently. And what happens at the base of the mountain with all the camp? The golden bull is created so they can worship. Now, what is the golden bull a reflection of? But everything they saw in Egypt. It's familiar. We saw those Egyptians worshiping a golden bull, so maybe we need one here. They didn't create that out of newness. They created it out of reproducing what they knew. And you know, Moses came down the mountaintop and said, what the heck are you guys doing? We're trying to do this different. Breaks the 10 Commandments, goes back up, gets another set. According to the Essene tradition, the first set was a lot more accommodating. The second set's simple, thou shalt not, period. So he comes back down and goes, okay guys, we're going to try this again. So they try it again, and they start moving, and they start going to a promised land. Moses says, there's a promised land where you guys can now live free. You can live free. So they start moving toward this promised land, and what do the children of Israel do? They start to murmur. They start to complain. Now they're crying to Moses. Moses, it was better in Egypt. We had food in Egypt. What are you doing to us here? Where is this God? They started complaining, and they started crying, and they started making all kinds of bad noises. They got, and Moses said, just shut up. And Moses also says to God during the whole time, why have you asked me to do this? Why am I leading these people? They do not get it. But he leads them, and they go to the edge of the promised land, and he sends a man named Joseph, son of Nun, one of my favorite Old Testament characters, and Caleb was probably with them, and a little group of scouts. So they go into the promised land, and they come back with these great fruits. And if you were in Sunday school as a child, and they showed you the pictures of these huge clusters of grapes that are so huge, y'all remember that picture? Huge grapes, huge fruits. And the children of Israel were shocked, and they went, oh no. Not like, oh yay, harvest, we get to eat. But oh no, giants live there. Giants, we can't go. We can't go. And Moses said, excuse me. And Joshua said, come on, guys, we got to go. It's right there. We can take them, no problem. It's not that big. The children of Israel said, no, we will not go. That is the reason. We all understand that the children of Israel then traveled for 40 years in the wilderness before they went into their promised land. But it was for this very reason that they did. The edict came down from Spirit at that point. The Bible says from God, okay, peeps, you're not going in. I brought you to the edge. You're not going to go in. You're not going in then. No one who is alive today as an adult will enter the promised land. So they wandered for 40 years until every single one of them died. So the ones that entered the promised land were the young people who had grown up in freedom. Do you hear what I'm saying? They grew up in freedom, wandering the wilderness. They had no memory of slavery in Egypt. The consciousness had to shift from the slave consciousness of fear-based, I can't embrace the new, to new consciousness. And it had to be born in a new generation. So the familiar of these Israelites as they traveled for 40 years was they whined and cried for help for 40 years. Nothing was ever enough, if you read it. I'm not making this up. So what had they mastered in their slavery?
Wham.
Yeah. They mastered the wham. They mastered the cry for help. So that's what they took with them. That made them comfortable. That comforted them. Because that was what was familiar to them. The children grew up in a new energy of being free. We're following Moses. Where are we going? We're taking on the day. Let's go. And they were able then to move into the new space. Within each of us, we have both of those camps. We have those old elders that have known the hardships of life. Have you not known the hardships of life? Maybe some of the younger ones haven't, but most of us have. Most of us have a whole history. Layers of history, of challenges. And then when a new opportunity comes, we also have the young people in us too going, let's do it. Who wins? Typically, the one that needs it to be familiar. The aspect of us that needs to feel safe. We will take the new opportunity and make it familiar. We will take it and make it familiar. We may walk into it, but we're going to walk into it murmuring. We're going to walk into it with whatever makes us comfortable. Do you understand?
Yes.
Some yes? Okay. All right. So, wherever I go, there I am. So how do we alter this? How do we move from this energy of needing to make it like me to embracing that it's like the higher part of me, to embracing it freely? All right. I believe that if you focus on receiving greater, which is what we are all trying to do, you are activating the higher part of you. And when it comes to you, it will come in that energy of reflecting the higher part of you and the familiar part of you. It will come to you where it can. If we, as metaphysicians, bring God in to our desire for new, we have just expanded that space, have we not? If I am seeking a new experience, we've just expanded that space to have a new experience. Bringing God into what we're seeking opens it up to be greater than we could possibly bring in. And the second aspect is when the experience comes in and we don't understand it, try to find relationship with it somehow. So, you're in an experience, you're asking for something new, we want to expand, we're asking God to be a part of that expansion. It's going to come exactly where we can receive it. We look at it and it makes no sense. How can we come into relationship with it? Should be our question. We have to find relationship with it. I can imagine those guys sitting watching the scene upside down. And I would go, isn't that interesting? Look at the folds are falling differently. I wonder if there's no gravity in this place. You know, and I would try to dialogue with the scene. When you were children, did you not every one of you lay on the floor and look at the ceiling? Did you not every one of you say, gosh, if I walked down that ceiling, I'd have to jump over that, and that would be, I'd slide down there, there's a little thing there. I mean, did you not?
Yeah.
You imagined yourself walking on an unfamiliar terrain. This is becoming relationship with that terrain. This is you relating to, how would I deal with that? Isn't that interesting? The minute something comes at you that's a part of your desire base that expands you, if you can come into any kind of relationship with it without needing to understand all the itty-bitty nitty details that your elder part of you would want you to understand to keep you safe. No, I'm safe if I just come into relationship with something different and accept it versus understand it. Is this making sense? Accept it versus understand it. Then I can do a new dance with it. Have you ever met anybody that you kind of resonate with? It's like, that's an interesting person. And then they'll go off on a tangent about a political view. You know, people love their politics. And in metaphysics, we don't care. Cindy, I will not speak on behalf of you. Cindy, do not care what your political view is. You're giving energy to something. That's your choice. But it does not change who you are as a person. It is an expression of who you are as a person. And some people are so charged to the political condition of our country. And you know what? Somebody has to be. That's their job. Somebody's born with that job. I was not. So for me to have an opinion of somebody's opinion, no. For me to need to understand their opinion, no. Do you see? For me to accept, what a lovely person. They are politically charged, but a lovely person nevertheless. Do you see? I don't have to erase them from my world. And now I can have a new relationship where I lovingly accept this lovely person who's politically active. Do you see? Acceptance allows a new relationship with that which wouldn't normally fit into your reality. And the minute you do that, you've just expanded. You've just expanded you. Okay. In metaphysics, we say focus on what you focus on expands. Visualize yourself, see yourself there. Let the new become the familiar. And as you see yourself doing what you want to do, you visualize yourself. How many do this? When you're trying to manifest, you see yourself driving your new car, or doing the work you want to do, or being in that loving relationship, and you visualize. This is a way of letting the new become familiar and letting you create a relationship with it before it comes. When it does come, it's going to come at the best level of consciousness that you can receive. And sometimes it's going to look like a big old bunch of grapes. It's going to look like a huge, huge, huge parcel of grapes that you have not a clue what to do with. And when it comes to you in that way, bigger than you would ever imagine, because you've been including God, you've been visualizing, what do you typically do? I don't know. Maybe I could take 2 of those grapes and whittle them down so I can handle them. You know? Some of us will actually walk into the situation and tear it apart to make it as troublesome as our past. Some of us will walk away because it's just too big. It's just too big. Yeah, God, that's a great idea, but I don't know if I'm ready for that. You know? So, you guys hearing me?
Yes.
Giving God space when those grapes come at you and you look at them. God, good job. Oh, that's big. Okay, how do I now relate to that? Walk around them. Check them out. How really big are they? What do they taste like? What are they made of? How do they relate to you? How can you relate to them? And gently create a new space for this relationship. Okay. This is what they said. How often do we make things look the way they always have? How often do we try to come into relationship with what we've never had? Our new experience needs to become familiar but it needs to be a new familiar. Once something is familiar, write this in your brain. Once something is familiar, it can be duplicated in your world automatically. Once you let a new idea become somewhat familiar to you, it can be duplicated in your world automatically. And isn't that what we seek? Instant manifestation. Think about all the divine ideas you have gotten. How many of them have manifested? And how many are still divine ideas? If you play with that idea, relate to that idea, create a relationship on any level, it will become familiar so that when it happens, it will be yes. And it will be sustained by the automatic projection of your thoughts. Simple, right? We come into relationship by acceptance without needing to understand every detail and by allowing God the space. When you become familiar with God energy, is anybody familiar with God energy, that beautiful light that flows through you? Mm-hmm. Then you are open for miracles. Then you're open for all the things that you dream. And that's a wonderful thing. We can be so familiar with God energy, we're so open for miracles, and they happen all the time, and it's wonderful. But when those grapes show up, because a miracle, God did the work and I received it, yay God. Okay, that's how we look at it. But when those grapes show up and now it's mine to do, now it's kind of out of God's realm. Okay, God, you brought this to me, now it's mine to do. Don't know. We go back to the human. We go back to the old children of Israel or the young children of Israel. And where do we want to land on that? So, wherever I go, there I am. If you can take anything, any idea about yourself and expand it, accept it without understanding it, it can move inside you to work. When we went to Egypt in 1995, we went to Egypt, that was 20 years ago. It was the first time we went out of the country, and it was amazing. It was amazing. The culture of the day was amazing. The history was amazing. The people were amazing. The sights, the sounds, the traffic. Oh my God. I prayed so much. And that traffic, they don't stop at red lights. They go faster. And I was glad every taxi cab we got in had a Quran on the deck. I'm like, yes, we got in this taxi cab. We need this energy. You know? It was just the most amazing experience from front to finish. And it was so new, and we moved so fast, and there was nothing familiar about it. And we were just inundated with all these ideas. It was just expanding, so expanding. And when we got home, we were walking on air. And we got back into our routine, and I was starting the very first seminary program. And you know, we're back and back in our life here and feeling good. But there was just one moment. And I'll never forget, I was driving my car between the graveyard, going to our old facility. Graveyard here, graveyard there. Just aware of spirit. And this energy of this unbelievable awakening occurred. And I saw my grapes. I saw the biggest energy I could possibly see for me. I had no idea what it was. None whatsoever. We already had InterQuest going. We were already doing Tuesday night, Sunday services, starting seminary. It was for me. And all I remember saying is, I can do this. Yes, I can do this. And I just breathed it in. Just breathed it in. And I have no idea what I was saying yes to. But it was a huge, gigantic energy of expansion. I can do this. And the growth between 95 and 2013 is immense. It's immense. It's immense. I think I'm still living in my grapes here. I think I'm still embodying that which can be greater. And that's for all of us. Wherever I go, I am. But wherever I go, God is. And when I take that second half with me, then I'm always in my right and perfect place, and the familiarity of walking with God supersedes all else. Then I don't have to hold myself back. My human self doesn't have to weigh in. Those parts of me that have lived in fear, have gotten challenged, have failed in my mind. I have never failed in my life. I've only failed in my mind. Yeah, only in my mind. I've never failed in my life. I've always been learning and growing and trying. I've always tried. I never gave up. Never gave up. All of that takes a back seat to knowing I'm standing in my greatest potential, and wherever I am, God is. Newness, newness, newness. We have got to begin to embody new ideas about ourselves and the world, to grow, to expand, to receive. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? All right, well, let's go with that. God, our Father, our Mother, we love you so. We love you so. And as a group, we open our hearts and we know that we are greater than we have yet manifest on this earth plane. We are spirit, we are eternal, and we are love. We are your children. I ask now that the angels come and see each person here. I ask that a beautiful drop of angelic energy just move into the crown chakra of every person present. That they feel your love feeding them. That they feel your beautiful column of light come over them, holding them safe and sacred. And I would invite each of you now to allow your focus just to go to the energy that's surrounding you. And I want you to feel the boundlessness in your column of light. Feel that you are open, receptive. Feel that your energy is one with this energy that surrounds you. And for a moment, let your focus come back to your physical life. Be in your physical body and feel how much you pull back that boundless light. Can you feel it in your body? Can you feel, focusing on your body, that you pull your light back immediately? Take a breath and go back to that column again. Feel it expanding. And feel the difference. Feel how ease fills your body. How light fills your body. I am not limited by human conditions. I am divine. I am divine. I want you to breathe and let that beautiful light of God just wash through every cell of your body. And I want you to let your focus go in your life to the edge of your promised land. I know each of you will find a space where you stand on the edge, where you have been prepared to take a step and have not yet taken it. It might be in relationships, career, could be in your spiritual life, could be anywhere. But let the universe show you now the edge of your promised land where you stand. And I want you to look ahead at that land and just see the energy. So many things you can do. So many thoughts to be. And for this moment, if you can give yourself permission, I want you to step into that promised land. Step into the land. See your big bunch of grapes. See your opportunities. Step into that land. Feel how it feels. And as you feel, realize to stay here requires a surrender and an acceptance. I accept a new relationship with my life. I surrender the familiar of my past. You don't have to do it. Just be aware of it. If you choose, say yes. I say yes. I can do this. I have no idea what it is, but I can do it. If you're not ready, take a step back. Do it in your proper time, space, sequence. Take a step back and stand on the edge of that promised land again. And as you step back, feel the comfort that you're safe. Nothing is being asked of you. And no matter where you stand, if you stand on the edge or stand in the light of the new place, feel God's love pouring through you now. And feel that beautiful energy telling you, you are the beloved child. You may have whatever you choose. Breathe and come back to your heart center. God, my Father, my Mother, I love you so. I ask that you bless all those here and all those that hear my words with that great peace. I accept my greatness now. And all is right in my world. We love you, God, and we thank you. Breathe, bring your focus to your chair. Feel your light expanding. Feel the very cells of your body tingling. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. You feel a little expanded?
Yes.
Did anybody find that difference between the edge of the promised land? I wanted to share with you my suggestions for expansion. First, I would like to recommend that if you want to continue keeping your mind open to new ideas, in addition to meditating and asking for divine ideas, come to the Sunday morning class with Patrick. They're doing Jesus Teacher Healer. Discussion and interaction with others is very helpful. Tuesday nights, also very helpful to explore yourself. And I would recommend these two books because they are so mind expanding. The first you've heard me speak of a lot. It's Love Without End, Glenda Green. You can't go through a couple chapters without setting it down and going, let me be with that. The other is Extraordinary Knowing. This was written by a Dr. Elizabeth Mayer. In this book, she talks about so many scientific experiments on the mind and psychic phenomena. She did not believe it. She went into this experience as a skeptic and came to understand that you cannot deny the power of God in manifest and how the mind works. Fascinating read, and she crossed as soon as she finished the book. So this was her last gift to us on the planet. So great read as well. We love our familiar books, don't we?
Yeah.
We love our familiar TV. Go home and sit in front of the TV and get familiar. Get your comfort going. Do something different. Shake your brain out. Shake your mind out. Shake your body out. Try something new. And remember, I don't have to understand it. I just have to relate to it. God, we're ready. And what was our affirmation this month? Okay, let's do it together. I allow my greatness to express now. And so it is.